The Last of Us Part 2 is technically perfect. Naughty Dog's 2020 sequel to Game of the Generation, The Last of Us, manages to be even more gorgeous, manages to have even better gameplay. It has these rope physics I haven't seen anywhere. The enemies, they beg for their lives, and they even know each other's names. And you know that cinematic gameplay trailer that we all thought was fake and scripted? No, you can actually play the game that way. The voice work and the motion capture performances are the best in the business, and everybody loved the story. Okay, even if you didn't love the story, you would be a fool to not recognize the amount of attention to detail that Naughty Dog has poured into this game. They had a vision, and oh boy did they achieve it, and they raised the bar so high. Very few games in the years since this game is released have really even come close to the level of this game. So when we heard through some leaks that this game was getting a remastered version, I said to myself, why? Dr. Poopilove here, and let's talk about it. So the why is actually fairly obvious: money. Remastering Part 2 will allow PlayStation to be able to sell a fully priced version of this game, and that is just in time for the next season of The Last of Us TV show to come out. They did this exact same thing with The Last of Us Part 1 remake, coming out a few months ahead of The Last of Us Season 1, which allowed for a fully priced version of this 10-year-old game to be out and available just when the show was hitting the zeitgeist and interest was renewed and growing. And this worked. Sales were great for actually all The Last of Us games, even The Last of Us Part 2. So it's no surprise that they would want to try this again when The Last of Us Season 2 comes out, only with The Last of Us Part 2. And in this case, only making a remastered version instead of a fully blown remake. But how do you remaster a game that really doesn't need it? Well, I suppose they could make some fidelity enhancements, like ray tracing. They could also make use of the DualSense haptic feedback by providing support. They already did a 60 FPS patch, but maybe 120 FPS as well. And you also have to consider that this game hasn't been ported over to PC, so maybe a remastered version allows for an even better version to be on both PC and PlayStation. They could also add some of the features like the speedrun mode that we saw in The Last of Us Part 1 remake. Perhaps though they could go a little further and add some new content, and well, we kind of already know this is happening. The composer of this game accidentally leaked the existence of this project, and a new feature where during your encounter with him in Jackson, you can actually pick some songs for him to play. Now, I'm guessing that's definitely not all the features they're planning to add, but we don't really know what some of the other ones are. Could they also be kind of smaller scale like this where you're picking a song, or could there actually be fully blown additional playable sections? Like, some people really want to see Tommy's days in Seattle, which would be cool. For me though, I personally would prefer, if we are getting content like this, that they tease something for The Last of Us Part 3, like maybe showing Abby and Lev's journey to Catalina Island and giving us a taste of what the Fireflies are actually up to. Of course, another option could be adding the multiplayer component to this remastered version, because a multiplayer was initially planned for the original Last of Us Part 2, but then it got spun off into its own standalone multiplayer game. But since then, it's apparently been encountering some trouble, especially as it tries to be a live service game. So perhaps maybe lowering the scope of this game and packaging it in with the remastered could help allow for this multiplayer component to actually come out. I somehow doubt this is going to happen though, but I am desperate for that multiplayer. I'll take anything that they can give me. But just because Naughty Dog can do something to remaster this game, and just because it does make financial sense, doesn't mean this move isn't actually a risk. Because right now, the Naughty Dog community has been, let's just say, worried about the state of Naughty Dog right now. They have had some turmoil seeming to happen lately. That PC port was pretty poopy, and that awesome sounding Factions multiplayer game is apparently on some sort of ice. And fans are hungry for new Naughty Dog content. But from all appearances, it seems like they're only working to re-deliver games that have already released. Since The Last of Us 2's release in 2020, we have gotten an Uncharted 4 remaster, we've gotten a Last of Us remake, and now The Last of Us Part 2 remastered. Optically, people want to know what Naughty Dog is cooking and that there's actually something new coming out. These plans that we've heard so far, it makes them look like they've been spending all of their developer time for the past couple years just remastering things and potentially needing to cancel the only new thing we know about in that faction's multiplayer project. Fans think, hey, does this mean we aren't getting any new games from Naughty Dog until like the PS6 comes out? And they're worried, thinking Naughty Dog has lost its way and is relying maybe too much on their greatest hits. Now, this is where I've been beating a drum for maybe too long, but this is where good communication could come into play, because I'm sure Naughty Dog has multiple teams in development and they probably don't need their whole team to remaster a game that they've already delivered. There's like 400 employees at Naughty Dog and they probably don't need them all for a Last of Us Part 2 remaster. And so they probably have been able to make progress on whatever single player games they have in store, despite what we've heard has been going on. But I don't think these are things that many fans think about. And so a little bit of transparency could go a long way in just reassuring fans that no, things aren't really that bad. Regardless, though, I am not optimistic that Naughty Dog will say anything of that sort to alleviate fans' concerns. It's a topic that I cover extensively in this video, which you should check out. But otherwise, so long, Pooper Troopers.